What is MK? I'm talking about the competition to General Electric and Electromotive divisions, the one and only Morrison and Knudsen. Imagine a world where there were 3 different locomotive builders: General Electric with their Evolution series, EMD with their Ace series, and MK with their MK5000s. Don't know too much about the MK5000? Well, don't worry. You can call yourself an expert by the end of this video. In 1994, a longtime locomotive remanufacturer, Morrison Knudsen, announced its plans to begin a production of locomotives of their own. This was to directly compete with GE and EMD, who were already dominating the locomotive market. This included the production of a 5,000 horsepower DC drive locomotive and future plans for a 5,500 horsepower and 6,000 horsepower AC drive locomotive, if this were to take off. The MK5000 was equipped with a powerful V12 Caterpillar 3612 prime mover, one of the largest prime movers used in North American rail service. The 3612 drove a Kato Engineering, no, not the model train builder, 16 P12 27,000 main alternator. The main alternator powered 6 MK1000 traction motors built by MK themselves, and thus making for a powerful locomotive that should appeal to most major railroads, including heavy haulers. In 1994 and 1995, 6 MK5000Cs were finally built. 3 in August of 1994, numbered 501 to 503 for demonstration use on the Southern Pacific Railroad. This included having them in SP colors or their bloody nose scheme, including speed lettering. And 3 others in August 1995, numbered 9901 to 9903 for use on the Union Pacific Railroad, with the 3 being painted into a demonstrator scheme by MK. EMD and GE, feeling threatened somehow, introduced locomotives of their own. EMD with the 5,000 horsepower SD80 Mac and the 6,000 horsepower SD90 Mac series, and GE with the AC6000 CW. So it's kind of cool to think that a major catalyst for these to even exist was because of the MK5000. But, just like every other fresh new model, the MK5000s had their own fair share of mechanical and electrical bugs. Dirt causing component failure and faulty bearings in the Cat Prime Mover and Kato alternator quickly became prominent. Southern Pacific, like how they did with the rest of their fleet, ran the 3 MK5000s into the ground while UP just straight up returned theirs, with the Southern Pacific following later on. And unfortunately, before MK Rail could iron out the problems with the MK5000, Morrison Knudsen, the parent company, went bankrupt, sealing the fate of the MK5000s. MK later renamed itself as Motive Power and merged with Wabco to create Wabtec in 1999. The 6 engines, along with 3 partially completed frames, sat in storage from 1996 until 1999 when the BC Rail briefly tested out the 6 before sending them back to Wabtec, who was later approached by the Utah Railway. The Utah Railway used them for a year before they were sent back to Wabtec after the bearings in the Cat Prime Mover and Kato alternator failed. Wabtec responded by swapping the alternators out for an EMD AR11 main alternator and swapping the Cat 3612 prime movers for an EMD 3500 horsepower 16-cylinder 645 prime mover. 5 of the 645s came from retired UP SD50s and 1 from a retired GP50, also owned by the UP. The MK5000s were reclassified as MK50-3s and essentially became SD50s in MK5000 clothing. They were returned to the Utah Railway, this time under their new mechanical parts, and were repainted into the colors of the Utah Railway and received the numbers 5001 to 5006, with 5005 later receiving the G&W scheme. Unfortunately, the other 3 incomplete MK5000 frames were scrapped by Wabtec in 2001, with one of the cabs being used on DME 5000. All 6 of the MK50s were transferred from the Utah Railway to the Kyle Railroad in Kansas, another G&W owned railroad. All 6 were moved from a period between March 2017 to April 2017, then stayed in service on the Kyle until 2025, when G&W announced plans to finally retire the 6 engines in favor of XKCS/BNSF C44-9Ws, marking the end of the MK5000's days of active service. So, what now? All 6 of the MK5000s were stored by G&W, with 5004 later being donated to the Promontory chapter of the National Railway Historical Society in June of 2026, with the NRHS stating their goal of evaluating the engine in Ogden, with plans of keeping the unit operational. As for the other 5, they were recently bought by friends of mine at MOPX, with hopes of keeping the locomotives preserved and saving them from going for scrap. And 3 of the 5 were spotted on what looks like a BNSF train, going to an unknown destination, hopefully somewhere good. What meant as a start of a new era in locomotive manufacturing ended up falling through and falling into obscurity. Today, the MK5000 certainly earned its place in history as a bold attempt to challenge the duopoly of locomotive manufacturing. Man, Baldwin Elko and Lima Hamilton would be so proud. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all in 9 months.